You know what that means? That means this is an update coming. Welcome back to another exciting, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. I am your host for this morning, as usual. Nobody else to take over my spot until I say, hey, let's do this. Let's do a little, switch up. But no, that ain't what's gonna happen. It's my stuff. This is my show. Anyway, today, this morning, whatever, I am going to do an update on someone that I talked about in 2017. This is an update about Janet Castrejon. I got a comment message an alert message or comment from someone on my channel for that particular video saying that they have found her body. I was like, yes, so that means the family can finally be at peace. So we are going to get right into that right now, right here, right now. Okie dokie. Let's see here. Okay, come on now. Okay, I go back. Apparently, yeah, here we go. Okay. Now, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now, like I said, the body of Lydia Janet Castrejon has been found and positively ID'd August of 2019, only a mile from where she went missing. Now, to recap, she went missing on June 19th of 2015 from Rustler Park campground located in the Chiricahua Mountains of the Colorado National Forest. She had arrived there with her family mid-afternoon for a Father's Day weekend vacation in the mountains. More family members were due to arrive later in that afternoon or evening. Now, she had last been seen by her parents walking up a trail road from a public toilet toward her father, who was waiting in his car a bit further up the road. Now, her mother caught up to the car and asked where Janet was, as she had gone on ahead from the restroom, but her father hadn't seen her. So now Janet, now to recap even more, those who didn't know, she was actually involved in a very traumatic, she was involved in a very terrible car accident where she suffered a traumatic brain injury, when she was 17. Now, it also left her with short-term memory loss and a mental capacity of a 5 to 7-year-old child. Now, she also had been completely dependent on her parents since she came out of a month-long coma, after the car accident. She had also learned how to walk and talk again, but remained limited in her learning ability. So that is pretty much it, because they just found her body no more than a couple of days ago. So, that's pretty much the only information that we got. And I'm pretty sure they're going to have to do an autopsy to figure out, what was called a death. They're going to have to try and figure out how long, what happened to her, where had she been all this time? Was she always out there the entire time and nobody just knew she was there? Because we're talking about a forest. So that means deep, thick fauna. So you're going to be out there, but you're not going to be found because there's so many trees. And if you're lucky, you may not find someone until after the fall of the year or in the wintertime. So I'm pretty sure there are still many questions as to what happened to her all those years ago, back in 2015. I mean, you come up with so many different levels of ideas. But there's one idea about this whole situation that sticks along with the rest of the criteria with these people who vanish. The ones that always seem to vanish without a trace always seem to be the ones that have an ailment, whether it was blindness or learning disability. And learning disabilities is one of the main attributes when it comes to people being missing, because they can't fight back. Now, I'm not saying that the others who don't have a disability don't fight back, but still, it's just crazy how when people vanish without a trace, it's always the ones that have an ailment every time. Whether it be old age, they can't walk, They may have a learning disability, like what's his name? Darn it, the little boy that disappeared in that, the one that was playing hide and seek. Well, I'm having a brain fart right now. That whole thing with the stroke just kind of messed up my memory a little bit. But anyway, you know who I'm talking about. He had a learning disability as well, but he was like, what, 4 or 5? Maybe, well, I say anywhere between 6, maybe 5 and 7. Or at least that's the way he looked. Yeah, so that right there is one of the biggest, the biggest criteria. It's always somebody that is, that has a learning disability, or they just have some kind of ailment. So my thing is, she was obviously coherent enough and still smart enough to walk the trail, even though she had the mind of a 5 to 7-year-old, but she was still able to, go somewhere where she wanted to go, because she was still a grown woman no matter what. They didn't want to treat her like a child. She just acted like one because of her mental state. So that still didn't mean that she still wasn't a grown woman. So they would still let her do what she wanted to do. Like if she wanted to take a walk on a trail, she would walk. Now, the question is, what happened to her? What kept her missing for all these years? What killed her? Did she succumb to the elements because she was a child that didn't really know how to handle herself out there? I don't know. I mean, she was only a child in the mind, but she was a grown woman. So I would think there would be some parts of her that could still function as a grown woman, like being able to walk on a trail by herself without any supervision. Now if you let a child do that, of course you're going to be out there making sure that they're all right, because they don't know any better. They start walking, they may walk into something that they're not prepared to get away from because they're too small or they're too young to even process what's going on with them. So they are easily subdued by whatever. So that is really just a take on that. It's a real short video about the information, because the information is very short, but I just wanted to make sure you guys got an update on her, because it was pretty big news, that fact that they finally found her remains. And this happened in Colorado, one of the biggest areas when it comes to disappearances, which is exactly where Jerry Adadero vanished from, and later on found 4 years later on the top of that peak. So yeah, it is going to be one heck of a time for the family members, because they finally found her remains. Yes, she's not alive, she's gone from this plane, but the fact of the matter is that she can finally be put to rest, which is the most important part. So and yeah, I know it's a little morbid, to think about that, because she's been missing for all these years, and they find her body instead of herself alive and well. But all I can say is, I can't say it is what it is, but it's it's crazy. But yeah, so like I said, I just wanted to keep you guys updated on that. But there is another story that I heard about. I read a couple of days ago about a young 15-year-old boy that found a car that was submerged underwater, and he used a GoPro camera to actually film to see what that was, underneath the water. It says here, boy 13 who filmed a submerged car in Canadian Lake on his GoPro camera helps police find the body of 69-year-old woman inside of a 69-year-old woman inside 27 years after she vanished on the way to a wedding. Wow. She was driving to a wedding and went missing. Apparently something happened to make her, maybe there was something, like maybe a deer ran across the road and she swerved to get away from it and somehow ended up in that lake. She probably swerved real hard to get away from it. She skidded, depending on what year it was and the state of the weather. Maybe it was snowing and it iced up on the road and she skidded, and she literally just drove right into the lake accidentally, and it was probably and I would imagine the windows were up and she couldn't get out. So the water started pouring in from all sides, like from the vents of the car, the vents from the air conditioning. It probably started seeping through the doorway and everything, and she probably just obviously drowned. So I mean that's just the educated guess. I don't really know but I'm about to look into it right now. But it says here, Canadian boy Max Wawrinka, Wawrinka, 13, helped close a 27-year-old case when he discovered a submerged car in Griffin Lake near Revelstoke, British Columbia. Okay. He discovered the car in late August. Also, it was still warm outside. And police arrived to the scene August 21st. Wawrinka became their guide and dove underwater with his GoPro camera. When the dive team went underwater, they were shocked to find the body of missing woman, 69-year-old Janet Ferris of Vancouver Island, inside the car. Wow. Okay. She went missing in 1992 while driving solo to a wedding in Alberta. Now, cops suspected no foul play in her death and believe she may have swerved on the road to avoid hitting an animal, like I said. So I knew that sounded just about right. And plunged into the lake. Cops suspect no foul play once again in her death and believe she may have swerved. Wait, what? May have swerved on the road to avoid hitting an animal and plunged into the lake. Okay, they just repeated that whole sentence. That's weird. Anyway, okay, now a Canadian teenager helped close a cold case, a missing persons case when he found a submerged. Okay, I read that part. 13. Okay, here we go. We see Max Wawrinka, 13, was out on Griffin Lake in Revelstoke, British Columbia, in late August when he spotted what appeared to be an overturned car. Oh, so it was upside down as it went into the water. I guess maybe the current probably flipped it over time. I mean, we're talking about 27 years here, so it was bound to happen, I'm pretty sure. Lake probably had froze over and everything, so she froze to death and drowned at the same time, depending on what year that was that she went out there. But anyway, let's see, appeared to be an overturned car about 15 feet deep in the murky waters. He alerted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and when a dive team arrived a few days later on August 21st, he became their guide and dove into the water with his GoPro camera and confirmed it was a submerged car. 3 days later, the RCMP returned with their dive team, and they were shocked to discover the body of missing woman, 69-year-old Janet Ferris of Vancouver Island, inside the vehicle. I always like to question things, Wawrinka said to CTV News. Little did he know he would crack a decades-old missing persons case. We took them out in our boat, showed them the area where it was. Wawrinka said on guiding the RCMP officers to the location of the submerged car. When we initially heard someone was in the vehicle, my heart just sank. Max's mother, Nancy Wawrinka, said they were able to dive down, obtain the license plate. CPL Thomas Blakeney said it came back to a missing person case back in 1992. Ferris went missing while driving solo to a wedding in Alberta. Police believe she may have plunged into the lake after swerving to avoid an animal or after losing control of the Honda for some other reason. No foul play is suspected in her death. Now, Mounties then raised the 1980. Excuse me. The 19. Where am I? Ooh. Okay, the 1980 black Honda backed up to land. The submerged car was found just 10 feet off the side of the Trans Canada Highway. Okay. RCMP praised Wawrinka for his keen eye and outstanding detective work that helped crack the cold case. The RCMP will probably be looking at this guy down the road for potential employment, CPL Blakeney said. That's pretty cool, you know. I mean, hey, you did a pretty good job. I guess he probably watches a lot of cop shows and just kind of, I guess you could say, naturally acted, you know, on the situation. So yeah, he could be, you know, a future RCMP officer. That's pretty good, man. I very good. Yeah. Proud of him. 13 years old too. So yeah. All right. So now Ferris's family finally has a sense of closure after years of mourning, you know, her mysterious death. I think the worst thing was not knowing. Her son George Ferris, 62, said to CTV News. We kind of assumed that maybe she had gone off the road and fallen asleep, or tried to avoid an accident or animal on the road. Now, given a sad situation, it's the best of all outcomes, he said, on finally discovering her body and car. It seemed like there was never an appropriate way to grieve because she was missing. Granddaughter Erin Ferris Hartley said to Global News, I remember thinking about what her last moments would have been like if her car did go off the road. This is a happy story in the end, knowing her final resting place and knowing that it was an accident, she added. The family will be laying Janet Ferris to rest in 2020. Wow. That's kind of weird because most burials end up being like maybe 3 weeks after they found the body. But yeah, so and it says here in the comment section, wow, I wonder how many people who are unaccounted for drove into a lake, etc. by mistake, was thinking of Edward and Stephania Andrews in particular. Also that Prime song, The Bottomless Lake. Okay. But anyway, that's the story on that woman. Like I said, when I read the story, I was like, wow. I just didn't realize that it was that old because I just kind of skimmed through it, so I didn't really look at the date of when it actually happened because I think I was at work at the time, so I couldn't really dig into it as much as I wanted to. And by the time I got home, it wasn't. I just wasn't thinking about it because I was still going through my situation with my high blood pressure and all that stuff. So the only thing I was thinking about was just going to bed, So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to make sure you guys got this information out there to listen to because of this new news for Janet Castrejon, and it's kind of funny. You got Janet Castrejon and Janet Ferris, two names, both the same, Janet and Janet, just two different last names. I find that kind of like synchronicity, But anyway, but yeah, man. So that's pretty much it. It's like freaking 3:16 in the morning. So I know you guys are probably asleep, or you probably wake on the other side of the world. So I know you're gonna be watching my show, my channel, my video. So I really appreciate it, you guys. I love you guys so much. By keeping me updated on some of these cases, especially if you live in the area. So that's pretty cool that this person did give me the information about her body being found, and that was very cool. So I was like, yeah, man. So I gotta get out of here, guys. And you all know how I do it. There's no mistaking about that. You know how I do it. And you want to hear it? Of course you want to hear it, because I do it every time. Aloha, mahalo, and hui ho. Peace out, brother. Peace out, wahine.